Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 297 at scavengerlife.com.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, if you're interested in starting a little side business.
Side business? How about a career?
Yeah, selling on eBay, selling stuff on eBay. And really, these days, that's only what we do, is basically eBay. We tried Amazon, sell a little on Craigslist, but really, it's all eBay,
All eBay, all the time.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about something I was thinking it's this week, and that is being frugal versus running a business.
Right.
Now, we like to be frugal, right?
Oh my God. If I didn't ever have to spend money, I wouldn't.
Actually, I think that's part of our relationship, is that I'm the one that encourages us to enjoy some of the fruits of our labor. But I think we've both, it's naturally been frugal.
Yes.
From the get-go.
I think so. It's just ingrained in us.
So it wasn't something we had to learn. But let me lay down the groundwork here.
Okay.
So I like to read blogs about frugality.
Right.
It seems like it's happened in the past maybe 3, 4, 5 years, where blogs and YouTube channels and Facebook, which I don't really go on, but I know it exists. There are people who are documenting how to not spend a lot of money.
Right. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it comes in 3 flavors.
Yeah.
Number one is there's the kind of overwhelmingly Christian moms.
Right.
Who have these blogs. They're homeschooling their kids.
Yeah.
And it's all about how I stretch $1 out.
Right, exactly.
And we can have a good life without spending a lot of money. And it's DIY construction projects and renovation and cooking.
They're all on Pinterest.
Right.
Yes.
And it's cool. Then I think there are the people who are the financial independent people.
Right.
And they're about, I'm making all this as money. How do I not spend a lot of it so I can save it? And once I save enough and invest it in index funds, I can just live off the profit indefinitely. And basically, I'm financially independent, and then I
retire early.
Yeah, right.
It's financial independence, early retirement,
right.
People.
And then I think we fall into kind of a third category, and that is we don't want to work for someone at all and save up its money. We just want to quit now and be independent already. So the first group, the kind of, and they're always, but the kind of Christian moms is what I'll call them.
Yeah.
It's all about being a frugal. And that also includes the extreme, it's coupon moms who are I'm just getting all this stuff for free, Okay. And then like I said, there's a financial independent kids, and I think of a good example of Frugal Woods.
Right.
If you go to frugalwoods.com, they both got together young, in the early 20s. It's married. They both got jobs. Oftentimes with these financial independent kids, they get technology jobs.
Right. High paying.
Yeah, they get paid very well, and then they just save like crazy. And now they're in their early 30s, 33 or something, and they basically quit their jobs. They own one house, and then they just bought a farm, and that's where they live. And now they just live off the interest of the money that they saved.
Amazing.
Right. And then there's us. So we're frugal like those other two groups.
Right.
In very similar ways.
Yeah.
But here's the difference, and I was thinking about that. We spend a lot of money because we own a business.
Right.
And if you own a business, I find you or we just spend a lot of money on our business.
Right.
And investing
businesses,
in it.
Yeah.
And, and that's just what's always interesting when I read these blogs, because, they're always amassing heaps of cash.
Right.
And we don't really amass as much cash because we're putting it into our rental business.
Yeah.
Recently we've just been spending a lot of money on that. But the good thing is it's kind of like the rich dad, poor dad thing of like we're investing in assets that will then make us money. You know?
Like, basically, I was saying to you yesterday, because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad over Christmas, and I was like, that's it. Like, don't even read the book. All it is you invest in assets that make you money.
Right. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad's like that classic book that I think it was written in the 80s, just about a way to look at finances and
and
money.
just how exactly.
Like this kid has one dad who spends all of his money on the luxuries and stuff, and then the other dad, I guess it was a stepdad.
No, it wasn't.
No,
See, you didn't read the book. It's his best friend's dad, and his best friend's dad runs a business, and he invests in the businesses, and he continuously makes money. And he invests it in real estate and the stock market and blah, blah, blah. And he's like smart about his money, and he becomes like one of the richest guys in Hawaii, whatever. His dad was a teacher, and his dad was always like afraid of money, didn't want to talk about money, didn't invest money. And then he lived his whole life and like basically had nothing and did nothing. That's fine. Nobody has to make any money ever. Like, it doesn't matter. But it's just a way of like looking at like how you're spending your money and how you're using your money as a tool.
Right.
And his idea is like invest in assets that make you money. So like these houses, for example, these houses that we have, we're investing in them. They're going to make us money. And then eventually when we're older, if we want to, we can sell them and probably make a profit while we have made money over like 30 years.
Right.
So that's...
Right, and I think that's what's interesting is that when I read the frugal blogs, I'm like, okay, we do all the same things. Like we spend about as much as they do. Like if you take out our mortgages, we probably spend $2,000 at the most per month.
I mean, and that would be on the high end
on just a living expenses,
right?
And insurance and gas and utilities and all that
regular
stuff. Often very, and that. A lot of those frugal blogs, they actually post a monthly budget because they're trying to say, like you got to do your numbers.
Right.
And we've done that too on this blog. Right. But it's interesting. I don't see many blogs that kind of fall in our group. Mm-hmm. And that's people who are frugal, but instead of working for someone else and saving its money to become financially independent, you decide to work for it yourself. So you're being frugal and saving cash, but then you're using cash to invest in your businesses.
Right. It's kind of like a hybrid almost. Right. It's like this funny hybrid.
And I don't see a lot of those people. And I mean, I don't know of a single blog that does that. Right. I would love to know one if someone knows of it.
Well, that's what's funny when we always speak to Jim Collins is he's always like, you guys are this weird like hybrid thing because he's like everyone I know is like Mr. Money Mustache.
Right.
He worked at a high tech job. Him and his wife both worked at high tech jobs and did that, financial. Store away all your money. Don't spend any of it. Store it all away and then retire at like 33.
Right.
And like.
Yep.
Yeah, we're like this other version of that,
So, it's for instance, we had been amassing a lot of cash the past 18 months, but now all that cash is gone because we've put it into a renovation, and it's actually a really stressful time right now for us because we're really kind of on the edge in a way, like we really depend on eBay as this engine to generate its money to help us, pay our bills as we're finishing off this renovation. So, it makes me question things like, are we investing wisely?
Right. I totally question that too.
I mean, we talk about it on, conversations.
I mean, the other part about it we're not mentioning is we have another Airbnb business, but it's not the peak season right now because we're trying to get this other one ready for peak season. So we're not generating money, enough to help us with the bills and stuff on that business.
Yeah. I mean, I think our category, I think is the more traditional owner, operator, small business owner kind of thing. Like the guy who I always think about it. The guy in our town who fixes our car.
Right.
Him and his wife. He's got 2 employees.
Yep.
He said a long-time car repair business. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And he's just like a little guy that runs his own business. And he's never going to get rich. But I feel like that's more who we are. And probably is like us. He's like saving his money, and then he'll invest in a new lift or a new set of tools. But
he has freedom. I mean, in a way, he's his own boss, which is what a lot of people can't say.
But I wonder... please, I would love someone to comment on the forum or write us. Are there blogs where small business owners are documenting their business and their not teaching me how to be rich. I don't want motivational blogs. I just want are there other blogs where it's about being frugal and saving money, and then with the money that you save, you're investing in your business and how you handle the ups and downs of any business, because most businesses are seasonal or that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And like you said, we are investing in this second it's rental. It's stressful, but the interesting thing to me is the goal is once we have these 2 rentals in play, I mean, we could be making $40,000 on each of those.
Right.
So that's $80,000 a year, plus eBay money,
plus our video business,
So, that's, I think when you're a small business owner, you've got to have these goals. That's a goal, and it's like
that's the goal, yeah.
And it's like we're almost at the top of the hump. I mean, we're almost there.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I mean, it's like.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because you're not the one that usually says that. It's me that's like always kind of grumbling about the stress, but. We've never done a renovation this fast. Both of our other houses took a long time. So that is like a big part of it, I think.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to do it smart. I mean,
smart and fast.
Faster, We know more.
We know more,
but we also just trying to get it done faster as well. Yeah. So anyway, that's just that was something I was thinking this week.
Yep.
That this podcast is kind of documenting, a different kind of hybrid from these other financial independent and these thrifty blogs.
Right. But we all kind of I picture one of those visualizations where it's 3 circles.
Right.
And we all kind of intersect at certain parts,
Yeah. And I know there are people in the forum who are like us that run their own eBay business,
right?
And it's full time.
Yeah.
I would just love to hear how they handle their money, and if you have a pretty good eBay business, I mean, you're generating quite a bit of cash, and so if you're frugal, I'm always interested.
Right.
In
what are you doing with your money?
What people are doing
with
that cash.
Yeah,
are you just throwing it at your mortgage? Or are you throwing it in index funds? Is it? Or do you choose to have a really nice lifestyle with a boat and nice cars and travel?
Yeah, people have boats.
Some guys love boats.
I know.
They love their boats.
They love that boat.
Yeah. So.
Or what's always endlessly fascinating to me is the people who do eBay as a side gig. They work 40 to 50 hours a week, have kids, do eBay as a side gig to pay for bills and vacations and stuff like that. But they also love their jobs. And that's always amazing to me, too.
Well, that's good. I'm
glad. There are people who love their jobs, which
people have to work. I mean, this country would not exist if people weren't working. I guess I just like the idea of people having a choice to work. So that way businesses have to pay people more, because if there's a choice, then you aren't stuck.
Right.
Because when you have that feeling of being stuck, then you're willing to take what they give you.
Right.
And if you take what they give you, they always want to give you as little as they can,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about eBay.
Yes.
So this week, we had a fun scavenging time.
It was like endless scavenger adventure this week.
Right. As a scavenger, we scavenge in every part of our life. So, we're doing this, it's renovation. It's almost done. If you're interested in hearing about this other business and all this, it's at shampooandbooze.com, and that's where we document that part. But we're buying furniture, and we're buying nicer furniture for so cheap on Craigslist.
Yes.
I found a young couple who were selling a bed frame
Right.
And this was a Restoration Hardware solid maple bed frame.
I think it was room and board.
Oh, sorry, room and board.
But this was actually a bed frame for the farmhouse. So we're, at the same time we're renovating, we're kind of upgrading some of the furniture in the farmhouse. So that's happening simultaneously.
Right. And there's nothing more fun for us than finding deals.
Oh,
so,
man.
You know, $200 for
this gorgeous frame.
Yeah, and if anyone...
Solid wood.
I didn't know about these kind of furniture companies several 8 years ago, but a room and board is kind of like IKEA for our rich people. Anyway,
absolutely.
It's a great deal. So when we drive to go pick it up, they're like, well, we're actually going to move across the country.
Right.
And she had piles of boxes of stuff that she was going to donate. And so I was like, well, if you're just going to donate this stuff, we can always use stuff. I didn't tell her we sold on eBay.
Yeah, but she knew we had an Airbnb. So
Right.
we were like, we're trying to outfit our new Airbnb and upgrade our other Airbnb.
So I did something that I've heard other people do on the its forum. I was like, well, we'll come back on Saturday.
Right.
I'll bring an empty truck. I'll take anything you're just donating. We'll pick through it to get what we want, and we'll just take the rest to Goodwill.
Right.
And she was like, that's awesome.
Because she was like, that saves us a trip to the thrift store, you know? Like, we...
Yeah.
You know.
I like how some people are, like, really upfront, and they're like, yep, I'm a reseller, and here's my a reseller card, and, you know, and that's cool. I just don't feel comfortable telling people, I'm going to take your stuff and sell it.
I'm going to take your stuff for free.
Because if someone were to tell me that, I'd be like, then I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah,
for
like,
free.
I'll sell it to you, you know?
Anyway, so, and the other interesting thing was, and this is why I love Craigslist.
Yeah.
Because we always have good experiences. They live in a city a couple hours away.
Yeah.
And we normally drive back and forth. But I actually asked her, could we stay in your basement?
Well, okay.
Overnight?
You're, like, not explaining this well. Okay. You told her, we're buying this bed because we have an Airbnb, and we're, like, upgrading one of the beds. And she's like, we do an Airbnb in our basement apartment also. And we were like, well, if we come out tonight to buy this, we would love to stay in your Airbnb. You know, we paid them to stay there. We paid them $50. But it was worth it to us because we were like, we're going to wake up and go to, you know, some other stuff in the morning.
They normally charge like $100.
Yeah, so they gave us, but they were about to pack up and leave, so they were like, yeah, no problem.
So it was just a fun kind of couple days.
It was funny.
They were fun people to talk to and meet, and you know, we ultimately got, you know, a truckload and a half of all this cool stuff. We actually bought the bed frame. We actually bought a couple other things from them too.
Yeah. We bought this beautiful bookshelf.
Yep.
An espresso machine that's insane.
Yeah, like one of those, like a $500 espresso machine. We got it for $100. So.
And like, we're so hopped up on coffee right now because we're just like, I want another one. It's so easy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, although I think we're going to put it over in.
We're going to put it in the other rental, but
we're doing educational testing right now.
We're testing it a lot.
Yeah, and they also gave us, because they were really into Japan. Because
they lived in Japan.
He was a young guy. He was a military guy, and they lived in Japan. And they had a Toto toilet seat. And some people will know this, some people won't. But in Japan, they're really into like fancy toilets, like electronic toilets, the kind that have like a bidet and like it cleans,
like all this stuff built in,
cleans your butt. You know?
Yeah.
He gave us.
Well, what's funny is you're like, oh, I'm going to use the bathroom before we go, you know, and you ran upstairs, used the bathroom, and you were like, what are you going to do with that toilet seat? Because it's amazing. Yeah,
it's like a $350, like, fancy electronic toilet
seat.
He was like, do you want it? I was like, yes!
He gave it to us. I think a lot of people would think it's weird to have a used toilet seat, but if you just clean it, it's just like anything else.
So actually, we're going to test it out, and if we don't think it's fun, we'll just, you know, sell it.
It was really fun.
So it lasts two things on this. Number one is, this is a good example of, like, if we weren't full-time scavengers who owned our time, we would not have been able to have this opportunity.
Right.
You know?
To go overnight, meet them.
Because we could drop everything and be like, all right, we're doing this now for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And... I mean, again, we got so much stuff from them, like houseware stuff. We're going to sell all this
Oh,
stuff.
and it was like some other gorgeous things to put in the rental, like these like beautiful lamps and stuff.
I would
like,
love to
wow.
find more of that kind
More
of stuff.
More people like that.
And then the other thing I was going to say is just about this couple. So generous.
Yes.
So awesome. But I think that they're a good example of what many Americans are like. They work in like the high-tech industry. Computers.
High end, make a lot of money.
They make a lot of money.
Like you can tell.
Like they're probably bringing down $400K a year in their early 30s.
Right.
But they've chosen to just live really well. Like they had a really nice row house.
Everything about them, we were like, ooh.
They take very expensive trips, nice vehicles. He had like three motorcycles. You know, they have expensive hobbies. All their furniture was like, you know,
the most custom made.
Like they buy brand new furniture that costs, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You know, and that's awesome. But I guess that's going back to all those frugal people, you know, and like us, like that's the difference, you know, if they chose to be like Mr. Money, a mustache or Frugal Woods and just spend 10 years and save up, like live on $20,000 a year, save all that up. By the time they were their age now,
they would just be done working and do whatever they want.
It's just, you know, it's just a choice. Like for me, I would have never have given away all the stuff they did. I would have never have sold the furniture as cheap as they did.
Oh, but, I mean, they sold it at such cheap prices.
It's just interesting, you know?
It's just, I was really having like a mental conundrum after we met them and got their stuff and, you know, hung out with them, where I was just like, you know, I had this weird feeling of jealousy because they were younger than us. They were like, you know, several years younger than
They're probably
me.
in their early 30s.
Early 30s, right?
Mid-30s.
Yeah. So I was just like, you know, they made it. They've done it right. And then, but we started talking about it where we were like, wait, no, not really. Because now, like, what do they have? I mean...
I mean, we don't know their details of their life.
No.
But, I mean, traditionally, that's what we're kind of taught as Americans. It's like, if you work... They give you, it's money, and then you're supposed to spend it like right away, and actually spend more than you have, and get debt, and then you work your whole life to kind of keep that lifestyle up, and then at the end you hope you have enough somewhere. And that's why I think all the financial independence and the frugal blogs are so interesting, is because they're trying to turn that on its head.
They're like, no, we're not going to do that, you know.
And that's what we're trying to do too.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But anyway, that was a good, fun scavenger experience that only other scavengers could appreciate.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Like we got boxes and boxes of stuff from them, and we were like we didn't even know what was in there because we just like grabbed. We were like, we'll take everything. You know, it was like Christmas. It was like, what's in here? We don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah, and so we probably kept 6 boxes of stuff and probably are giving away 2. You know, we'll just donate it.
Yeah.
And then the other kind of scavenging adventure we had this week is, you know, we went to another auction.
Yes.
And again, we've talked about this. This year is our year of going to higher end auctions.
Yeah.
We talked a week or 2 ago about how we had been to a higher end auction and we still were falling into our old trap of just buying the cheap stuff, you know, just because that's our frugal nature.
Right.
So this time I was like, okay, let's spend some money.
Let's just actually not be afraid.
I mean, and not to say I want to waste our money, but let's be willing to take chances.
Let's not be chintzy.
So we actually spent $600 at this auction, which is...
when we went to go pay, we were like, wait, how much was it?
And what we were doing is we were still buying table lots.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why pass up good deals?
If there's stuff on there I want,
But I was willing to pay a little more for good tables, you know? I was betting against betting. It is kind of like betting, I guess. I was bidding against other dealers.
Right.
So I was going head to head.
Yeah.
And I was willing to pay a little more to keep up with them.
Right.
Because like they were doing in their math, the money had been on the table.
Yeah, the money's there.
And then the other thing was in the more expensive auction area where they're just selling things by themselves, we were mainly doing rugs.
I want all the rugs, basically.
Yeah, I mean, so we were willing to pay $50, $70, $150.
Yeah, one of
rugs.
them we bought $150.
Like a big.
It's like a room. It's 8 by 12.
Right.
It's 8 by 12. It's huge.
It's gigantic, right? So
it's already listed.
$600 is a lot of money for us to spend at an auction, but it's not.
It's not that much.
Undoable if we can make our money back and more, period.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is, and I don't know if other people have done this before. We're used to going to kind of like the scroungy auctions,
the country auctions.
Like we call them like a working class auctions.
Yeah.
Where the estates are like just middle class people.
Yeah.
And so when we go to these fancier auctions, we often feel a little scruffy and a little bit out of our thing. But this was the first time where, when we were driving home, Ryan had been like,
this is no different than any other auction.
Right.
They have, I mean, we talked about this. We were like, they have Tiffany, or maybe it's fake Tiffany. We don't know. But they have like higher end stuff. But the people buying are just other sellers. Like, they're just like us. I'm like, this isn't like the upstairs auction where they're selling a painting for $50,000. This is not that level.
And I actually started talking to
several of
different people of the irregulars who,
right.
They're the ones that have like a permanent
number.
A number.
Like, they know they don't have to hold their number up.
Right. And so I was just talking to them, just learning what they do. And a lot of them just own like little antique booths, or they own shops.
Yeah.
And, I just realized, like, oftentimes I feel like they didn't really know what they were doing. I mean, or
some of them.
Or they just had a niche that they knew a lot about, and then they didn't really know about a lot of other stuff, or they weren't interested in anything outside of their niche.
Well, we always joke where we're like, that person's been here all morning, 3 hours, 4 hours, and they haven't been on anything, and they're just waiting for that one like thing,
piece of art.
Yeah. And they're there for entertainment mostly.
Right. And and I think those kind of realizations are important because it's fun for me to get a sense of where I fit into it, and I find like not a lot of people at auctions are like this, but we're really like the anything people,
right? Absolutely.
Like, I'm willing to learn about anything. We're willing to ship anything,
pretty much.
And it just has to be a good deal.
It just has to be interesting and a good deal. And I think with auctions too, a lot of new sellers or just people who have never been to an auction are intimidated because they're like, oh, there's regulars, and it doesn't matter. Right. Like, it does not matter. And even I think that was the realization for me, was like, I felt like that at this auction because I was like, it's fancy, it's in the city, like there's nice rugs, and I'm like, oh no, it's not like that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, any auction you go to, people are trying to get the lowest deal, just like you. Yep. Some people are there for themselves. Like, I can see like the kind of like rich horse riding ladies, like they're there to like, buy some stuff for their
summer home.
Yes, exactly. So, I can see those people there, but still, you're like, they're trying to get a deal too. Like, they're not just like, I'm going to pay whatever, I don't care. So, it's, you fit in no matter what.
Right. Okay. Continuing with some of the eBay news in our life. So, I'm taking photos on the phone and I list directly.
Yes, you've done that.
And all the ladies are out there are like, you need to get him to list. I can't believe
I've heard that on some phone calls. Yes.
We're good. Something I noticed, and I'm surprised, have we ever talked about this? So there's this Gallery Plus nonsense, It's like when you're a listing, there's a little box underneath the description.
This is Jay realizing what it's like to list. Yes.
That says,
Gallery
check this
Plus.
box for Gallery Plus, and it gives you a bigger picture. And it's always checked. Always.
Yeah.
Like, automatically checked. And it adds like $1 or $2.
Depending on the category.
Right.
Some categories it does not add any money.
Right.
But for a lot of categories it does.
And so I always have to remember to uncheck the box. And I guess for me, I'm just like, I can't believe, everyone's complaining about all this other stuff. I'm like, why don't you complain about that? Like, that's ridiculous.
Okay. The thing that is ridiculous in my mind. Gallery Plus is not even a thing. It doesn't, it's like makes your picture bigger in search. I think that's what it's supposed to do. And you're like, when have you ever seen that on eBay?
Right.
Maybe in 1999, but they still have it on the listing.
Is it really? I mean,
is it a thing?
I mean, I don't want to be like one of those conspiracy theories, but is it like eBay's like, well, but there's so many dummies who don't check it, and so they don't know any better. So we're making
millions of dollars a month.
Yeah, you know, like
no, I honestly like. I know that you say that, but I honestly think that's what it is.
So if anyone, we have no idea if anyone eBay ever listens to this podcast, but I'm just like, cut that out. Like,
seriously, cut that out.
Get a coder to come. Just take
it off.
Take that code out of there.
It's not even a thing. That's what drives me crazy.
Or if you want to give people the option, I don't even know what it does. Just don't have it automatically checked. It's so weird, you know.
Well, I mean,
like that's what gives you a bad reputation.
But you just said it. You don't know what it does. It doesn't do anything.
Right. There should be one of those like something you can click, like so there should be like a question mark next to Gallery Plus, and you should be able to click on it, and it does a pop-up and shows you
what it
does. Right. If it does do anything, you know?
I don't think it does anything. I think it's a legacy thing. I think it needs to be deleted off the page. It's insane. Okay, right. So here's the problem this week. We didn't even get to the problem. The problem is...
oh my God.
On the listings, when I went to go list them, even if the box was unchecked, it was still charging me the fee.
Yeah.
So I had several listings, and people talked about it on the forum. They were like, why am I getting charged Gallery Plus? It's not even checked.
Right.
And it's some weird bug. My theory is it might be a bug because they're trying to take it away. So I hope that they are trying to take it away, as you just heard me rail against it. Right. But there are several listings, like in scheduled listings, that I can't list because it's like charging me $1.
Right.
I'm like, no. So I don't really know how that's going to get
eBay.
fixed. Yeah.
That's what we always tell people.
Call them, complain about it,
right.
please.
Okay, and then the last thing about eBay, I was thinking about, we've talked about our helper. Someone wanted us to give her a name. It's just our helper.
It's just our helper. It doesn't matter what her name is.
Yeah, and she needs her own privacy. And, when we first hired her, people were arguing about, do we hire her as a 1099 contractor or a W-2 employee?
Right.
And there was a good, back and forth of information. And I was just thinking about it. I think that to kind of put a nail in this coffin on this conversation, I think if you give them a box of stuff and they take it home and they do it on their own time with their own equipment in their own process, I think you could consider them a contractor.
Right.
There are some people on the forum who have helpers that do it that way. Because then they're just doing it.
It's almost like freelance. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and they could conceivably be doing that for other people too.
Right.
Just like a contractor would do.
On their own time.
Like a guy who, if you hired to paint at your house, he's painting other people's houses with his own equipment on his own time.
Exactly.
But if you're doing it like we're doing, where your helper comes, works in your home or your office during set amount of time.
Right, these hours.
And you're telling them exactly what to do, when to do it.
And giving them the equipment to use.
Then, that's what the IRS... idea of what an employee is.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. And I think the other thing, too, is just we each have to make a choice of what kind of confidence you want to give this person who's helping you. Contractors have small amount of confidence that these jobs are going to be assistant from week to week. But if you have a W-2 employee, there's more confidence that they're going to keep making a certain amount of cash.
Right.
And for us, we want our helper to feel like this is
it's steady work.
Steady.
Yeah. And
we don't want her to go out and get other work.
Right. Exactly.
And it was fun. It's this week. Like, I would come over a couple times because I'm working in the house and you guys are in the office, and we're kind of talking about eBay. It was kind of fun.
Well, because you were here. I mean, that's the thing, is like the last how many months? 3 months you've been gone at the other house. So we doing the renovation.
Yeah, but it was kind of fun. It felt like we had like a real business. Like
we do have a real business. You were just here.
I
know it's good. I want you here.
Yeah, and eBay was good for us it's this week. We're about to talk about its numbers, but we had a good week. I mean, we've continued to have good weeks since Christmas time, you know?
Let's keep it up.
Yep. Before we talk about the numbers, a couple of things about scavenging, which I think is fun, and it's about being frugal. So we heat our home with wood. Since we've been doing a renovation, we've been heating our wood with a lot of construction wood.
Now, let's be very clear. This is untreated wood.
Pressure treated. It's got lead paint on it.
Look, Jay's joking. You cannot burn pressure-treated wood. Right. So that's not the kind of wood we're talking about. We're talking about just plain 2x4s that are interior.
Just, our carpenters think I'm crazy because when I'm over there, they're like, doing,
chopping off,
cutting wood and all this. And I go up behind them and I'm getting every little scrap of wood and putting them in trash cans. And so we have all these untreated pieces of wood. And again, I use it for kindling because it's soft wood.
It burns quick.
And so it's great.
But it helps a lot because it gets the fire started fast.
And as people know who have heard this, we get the rest of our firewood mainly off of Craigslist from urban people who, they cut down like big oak trees in their yard.
And they don't need it.
They have it cut up. They don't want to pay to have it all carted off, so they just say free wood, and I'll go when I'm in DC and just get truckloads of huge pieces of great firewood for free.
We've gotten it for free for years.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the summertime, because the other dudes who gather and sell firewood aren't trolling for firewood in the summer.
Right.
So we try to gather it during the warm months.
Like if I tried to do it right now, I would be fighting with guys with like big trucks,
like
who
big
are
box trucks,
trying to get as much wood as they can so they can sell it. And then the other kind of scavenging thing is electronic scavenging.
Yeah, digital electronic.
So Ryan actually bought me a present this week.
I did.
A new to me used iPad Air.
iPad Air first generation. Yep. 120 gigs storage.
Because I had just had an older iPad that had 12 gigs on it, and I could never put anything on it because
the thing is, like, when we travel, you load up your iPad with like movies and stuff, and also games, and the iPad you had is the second generation iPad. Just you couldn't do anything. You're like, I have like 3 games or something. True. So I wanted to get you a present because you work so hard on the other house.
It was very nice.
Yeah. So sometimes
but
it's nice.
What's interesting is you spent a lot of time getting the best deal you could.
I bought the lowest priced
because it had like a little crack in the corner.
Tiny crack.
Things that would push other people off. And then the other thing is about this is that we always recycle our old electronics. Like we have some friends who, if you go to their house and you look in their kitchen drawers, have like old iPhones in them and like old pieces of electronics,
old laptops and stuff
that they just kind of throw in there. And I'm like, no, you got to resell this stuff. So we're going to resell my old iPad for hopefully like $150,
which is so crazy because I paid $250 for the iPad Air,
right? And
if I sell your iPad 2 for hopefully, because it comes with like a charger, a keyboard, a case, $150. Then I would have just paid $100 for your iPad.
And that's the best gift I could get.
Is to resell it, yep.
And, people like on the forum, because we're always like, trying to find good software for like eBay stuff. Does it come on Mac? And so much of it's just PCs. And people are like, why do you use Macs? One reason is because it has such good resale value. It
holds the value.
Like when the iPhones, the first several years, it was you could only get an iPhone if you're on AT&T. So people were trying to buy the old one so they could port them over to other ones. So we would upgrade our phones every a year or so, get a brand new phone and sell the old one
and pay for
more than the first one.
Yeah,
it was so great.
It was crazy.
So if you're into electronics, always sell the old ones to fund your
newer ones. Make a little bit of money back. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about our numbers for this week. On our main store, we sold 60 items.
What?
Which is a lot of items for us.
That's a lot.
And we made $2,140.
I love it.
I mean, if we're making over $2,000,
we're happy.
That's great.
We're super happy.
I mean, again, wait till the summertime where we can sometimes make $800, in a week. So,
I know. I mean,
so
weeks like this are really wonderful.
I gotta remember, this isn't the normal.
Right.
Like we can't base our budget based on these kind of numbers.
Yeah.
And God bless people that are making $3,000 and $4,000. That's great. One person just joined our forum, and he's like, I got a couple of employees. He says he's averaging like $14,000 in a month. I'm like, I'm like, my God, if we were making that kind of money, I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm always interested in what people do with that extra cash. Like, if you're frugal, you could be generating so much cash where you could just be paying off houses in a year,
Seriously, it's just
like if you're making $10,000 extra cash, that's just cash in your hand, you could just throw that at a house payment and get your house paid off, Crazy.
Our second store, we sold 8 items for $175.
There you go.
$175. I mean, that's some low-priced items.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we've said, our second store has become this like kind of ghost experiment, We've been listening a little bit on there.
We did list some this week, yeah.
But really, it's kind of like autopilot. It's got about 1,000 items in that store, and like, how does eBay handle a store that doesn't have a lot of activity? And you know what? We still average about $1,000 a month
that's
in
not bad.
and month out.
I love it. Yeah,
like that's not bad. And on Bonanza, I think we sold a couple things.
Yeah, I think it was about $50. It was a pair of shoes for about $50.
Like we always say, Bonanza, True Gather, all those sites that kind of suck in your eBay store and sink.
Just bonus.
They're really just bonus places,
Yeah.
Bonus cash. Okay, customer issues. We got a message through eBay. A buyer just received a pair of boots that we sent her.
Yeah.
And she sent a photo and said, there's a tear in these hiking boots. And she sent a photo of it, and she was very upset. You know how it happens. A buyer's like super angry.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm super upset. This isn't what I'm expecting. I want a full refund. And we could have done 3 things.
Right.
We could have ignored her because she didn't open up a case. She just wrote.
But she probably would have soon.
But, there are sellers that do that. They just ignore,
Yep.
Number 2, we could have written back and accused her of damaging them herself.
Because we never saw this hole.
Yeah. I would have never have sent a pair of boots that had a hole. But,
right.
And we could have said, you put them on and you broke them. Yeah. We're not paying for it. Number 3, we could have also asked her, just mail them back. We'll give you a full a refund, and we'll just sell those boots again. And one of those strategies is making them mail it back. Sometimes they don't.
It's a barrier.
They don't mail it back, and we do it with people who we think are being unreasonable.
Right.
Or if we think we can sell the item again.
Right.
And eBay's fine. It's with that as long as you give people.
Yeah.
But you know what we did? We just refunded her on the spot. Here's all your money for the boots. Here's it's shipping. Keep the boots.
$50.
And she was like super psyched.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It also just bought us peace of mind. Because you know what? In that case, because it was me, I very well could have just made a mistake. Because it was in kind of the part of boot that maybe I didn't look at.
It was like the inside of the boot.
I don't know. So, when all of us are complaining about buyers and it returns and people scamming you, I don't know. In this case, that was the best thing to do in my mind,
Because the problem is if you had it returned, you're like, can I really sell these boots again? If they have a hole in them, a hiking boots with a hole is going to get water in it, and she could use them just for like walking around town and maybe not hiking, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically I told her, keep them, and if you can use them as work boots, or if they can still be good for you, enjoy them. If not, just donate them to your Goodwill. I mean, they're still, other than a small tear, like it was cosmetic, But, you know.
Just sometimes just things like that happen. You're like, or maybe there was a tear, but it was tucked in perfectly, so when it moved around in shipping, it, showed itself.
But I know there are other people that sell quite a bit of items, and like that's a common technique. Like sometimes it's just a cost of doing business. It's not great.
Yeah.
The boots themselves didn't cost us anything. What it is, we lost expected income. And then the whatever $5-6 it cost us shipping.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just the way it is. A couple things we learned in the forum, and if anyone doesn't know this, we have a forum through our blog at scavengerlife.com. That's where we all talk after the podcast.
Yes.
There were 3 interesting conversations, and I'll put links to them. Number 1 is, can you ship shoes in a poly mailer? Common question.
My answer is yes. I ship almost every single pair of shoes in poly mailers.
Right. So these shoes are not in boxes. Like, it's not a new pair of shoes.
Right.
They're just like a pair of shoes you pull off the shelf at Goodwill.
Exactly. I have shipped literally thousands of shoes. High heels, boots, sneakers, sandals, any kind of shoe in poly mailers. Now, with the high heels, look, if it's a really high-end pair of high heels that they paid $100 for, yeah, I'm putting it in a box. Fine. They paid $20 for a pair of whatever.
Yeah, bread and butter kind of stuff.
Yeah, so what I do is, because I put everything in, like, clean shopping bags, like, from Walmart. So I wrap it, for high heels, I wrap them in a shopping bag, and I make sure to tape the plastic on the heel so that it doesn't poke through the bag. But they're fine.
And we've never had...
I have not had one single issue in the entire time we've been selling.
Right. Like,
no shoes have
we
been
don't
damaged.
get messages or bad feedback where people are like, these shoes came in a poly mailer.
Yeah.
You're disgusting.
Yeah, like I've not had one issue. So...
But it was interesting on this, it's thread.
Yeah.
Which you can go to. I mean, people had different opinions. Some people were like, I would never do that. Yeah. Put them in boxes. Right. Or I'll only put like tennis shoes that are kind of smushable. But
now or a lot of people were like, I'll wrap them in bubble wrap, or I'll wrap them in a cardboard sandwich type thing and then put them in a poly mailer. And the reason to do that, in my opinion, is because a lot of shoes are lightweight enough to send first class, but not if you put them in a box.
Right.
So you're saving the customer money because you only charge them for first class, and then you're, saving yourself some time because they just fit in a poly mailer.
The other interesting thread was, and there were a lot of them, was someone was like, it's really important to get to know your auctioneer.
Yes.
So if you go to an auction on a regular basis, this guy was like, I think it was a guy, he was like, I like to make friends with the auctioneer and his helpers so they know my name.
Yeah.
And they also know what I do. They know how I sell on eBay and what I look for. Because he says the auctioneer will give him tips on things that he's selling or things that the auctioneer doesn't want to auction off, and this guy will go and buy, he said, like a store load of clothes,
Yeah.
Now I said, and other people joined me, it was kind of half and half. When I go to an auction, I like people to know who I am, and the auctions that we go to on a regular basis, they know our faces.
They know that we're people who come to the auction.
And they know I'm serious and that, I buy stuff. But I honestly like to be a mystery. I don't tell people I sell on eBay. I don't tell people what I look for. When other sellers are like talking to me, I just kind of say I'm a collector,
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, I've always been like this. I'm not the kind of guy that has a card with my name and
my store name.
Scavenger.
Yeah.
Call me anytime.
Yeah.
And maybe we miss out on like those big deals that we could make, but for me, we never leave an auction without stuff we want.
Right. It's never a problem.
Like, we have more than is we need, and I don't need to do house cleanouts. But
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, I just think it's different for everybody. I think it depends on your personality. I think it depends on what you're comfortable with. Right. I think there are some people who are like, yeah, there are people at that auction we go to that everybody knows they have a store. They have a store. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Well,
that's fine.
Yeah.
that just doesn't,
Well, I mean, and then there are the guys that, there's several auctions we go to, and, they're the guys who are just like they brag. Like, they openly are just telling everyone, oh, I bought that thing last week. I sold it for $1,000.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I sold one time this one thing. They're just... And that's cool, too.
They can do that, but that's not...
I can't believe they do that. I don't know. I just feel like, why give up? Like, we're very open in this forum here.
Yeah, everybody knows everything.
Someone's it's Wisconsin hearing me, like, that's great. But I don't need people, like, in my immediate...
Right.
It's the vicinity and knowing what I do.
I think a lot of it, too, is, like, we'll talk to other sellers, just chatting, like, oh, I saw that thing you bought, that was cool, whatever. Just casually. But the other part about it, too, is, like, I don't love talking about eBay with people who don't do it or understand it, because I feel like a lot of sellers we talk to are like, oh, like they're the people who are on the eBay forums, like eBay is out to get you, like PayPal, like one time PayPal just took my money. Like we've talked to people like that, people who do estate cleanouts who are like, I will, you know, those people scammed me, and I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you because, like, I don't even want to explain any of this to you.
It is ironic that we have a podcast here where we're basically teaching people how to do eBay, but locally.
But I don't want to talk to the other people. No, and plus the second thing that I'll mention is anytime you talk to other dealers who don't do eBay, they want you to sell for them on eBay.
That's true.
And you always have to say no. I mean, that's the problem. You're just like, nope, nope. Like, you just always have to say no. Unless you want to do it. Yep. We don't want to do it. So that's a way to just not ever bring it up.
And last thing, just on this topic real quick, is that I have seen in just the past even 2 or 3 years, the number of people who now come to auctions with, like, iPads or like big phones, like a phablet.
What is it called?
Phone tablet. Phablet. That's the where word. They're openly, and it's totally smart. They're walking around.
Yeah, they're researching.
And they have like a notebook, and they're connected to the internet, and they're like researching stuff right there and making notes. And the interesting thing too is they don't seem any better at buying stuff. It's really interesting. Yeah. Like, even though they have that information, when I'm bidding against them,
they just aren't really bidding.
They're either missing, again, I think that's why it goes back to, I think everyone has a niche.
Right.
And like, this guy's into like just video games, and this guy's just into art, and they miss, or they overlook the stuff that we go for.
Right. So. Which is great, because that is why when people are like, oh, it's competition and you don't want... It's like, look, trust me, we walked away from that auction with pretty much everything I wanted anyway at a good price. So, and I'm bidding against other professionals. So you're just like, it's fine.
Yep. Okay, what will our coming week be like? Well, we're doing stuff at it's renovation at the other house. I don't have to be over there right now. It's just kind of like guys are they're sanding the sheetrock. They're mudding and sanding. Ugh. So I don't need to be there to help them or to do anything. So I'll basically be here. It's processing eBay and continuing to get better at taking pictures at the phone and a listing.
Uncheck Gallery Plus.
That's right.
Jesus.
Now, you and our helper, we're going to have... It's great having her, because we'll process everything we've bought and all that stuff we got for free.
I mean, she's just so... Yeah. It's great.
I mean, we now have 5,600 items in our main store.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's really helping us bulk up our store.
Pipeline. Yeah. It's all about the pipeline.
It's great.
Yes.
Okay, let's take the questions or comments that people have sent in.
You can always call us on our voicemail line. It's 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message, or you will get cut off.
Yeah, Jay and Ryan, this is Bill from Docks Inn from Indiana. 4 or 5 months ago, you guys talked about doing sell-similar on some of your older listings to bump them up in the search results. And I know you went ahead and did that with quite a few of them. Do you renew that every 3 or 4 months, or let it ride. Kind of interesting how that experiment worked out. And did you see any direct results from doing that? Thanks.
So yeah, that was, there was a point where Ryan called eBay, and one of the customer reps said, a lot of your listings are really old. It's hurting your search results. And, we all noticed that if your item is older than 16 months, and I don't know why they pick 16 months, it'll actually give you a gray, it's banner on that a listing that says your item is older than 16 months. So we actually went in, or Ryan did, and you ended
a bunch of stuff
and re-listed as new our entire store.
It was basically the entire store.
4,000 items, and the result of that experiment was nothing. There was no burst of activity, no burst of sales. It was the same. So what we do now is at the end of every month, we just go in and relist the ones that have that over 16 month banner,
Right.
So that way none of them have, because I'm assuming if they put that banner on them,
it means something.
Maybe that means something, but we don't do it like other people where they're every month they end everything, re-elicit as new.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone says, well, I can't give you proof. To me, the proof is more sales,
Yeah.
If you get more sales, 20% more,
right.
A noticeable bump, then it's worth it. For us, we don't see that. So we're still good till canceled, except after the 16th month period. And then there are people you hold things for 16 months?
Yeah, I just sold a sweater that was 3 years old yesterday, it's not ideal, but...
Yeah, we don't want it to take that long. But if you're selling, bread and butter, vintage, sometimes unique items, what they call long tail, not a lot of people want these items, but there are people out there, you just have to wait.
Right.
It just takes time, and we're the list it and forget it.
List it and forget it.
Other people are everything has to be out in a week.
Right.
That's cool. Just a different business model.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, it's Len with Potter's Pickers. So I wanted to tell you that I know you mentioned doing listings and taking pictures with the iPhone 5. I have an iPhone 5. I do literally every step of listing with the phone. And the way I've kind of streamlined things is that I save templates into my notes on the iPhone. So I can just copy and paste all my descriptions and everything. And it's so much quicker that way. You can write your descriptions. Everything can be done. And in fact, if you have a Bluetooth printer, you could print shipping labels. Now, I don't happen to have that, but, if you have that capability, you could eliminate your need for a laptop entirely and do every single step of the process, from sourcing to researching prices, because of course, you can look up sold and completed listings and everything, as well as active listings, and you can do everything from your phone. So it's really streamlined the process for us a great deal, and it's relieved a lot of stress. So the next step for us is to do a look into Bluetooth printers so that we can just do everything from the phone. Just when something sells and we get the alert, you just hit your print label button and it'll do it, just as we're sitting around watching Netflix and stuff. So don't sleep on the capabilities of your iPhone. It's capable, much more capable than I think a lot of us give it credit for. And I would be really interested to hear what the newer iPhone 6s or 7s, if those give us any further capabilities. So if anybody knows that, hopefully they'll call in and share it.
The Potter's Picker. Yeah, no, there are other people who are they're phone enthusiasts, and they like the idea of they only need their phone.
Yeah.
And that's all that they ever need. And that's cool. I guess for me, I find there are things that are easier to do on the computer,
sending invoices. You can't do that on the phone.
And when I'm researching, yes, you can do it on the phone, and we do it when we're out in the field.
Right.
But I find the way the information is given and the ability and the speed to research is so much faster and comprehensive on the computer.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's all about saving time, but some of it is just also the quality of our listings. I think is better when we do it on the computer.
We like to do the hybrid method now, where we're using the phone kind of as like starting it, taking the pictures, and then go back and like flesh it out.
I mean, on the phone, I know I take pictures, I write titles, I can do some things, but is there a place to put in the description?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
There's, I mean, he said, you can do all that stuff, but it's just like,
I find like I can type much faster on the computer.
And also, I feel like
things
on the eBay mobile app, it's like missing handling time, and just like there's just stuff that I can't see on there. And on the computer, I just like scroll down the whole page. I'm like, yep, everything's right, list it. So, yeah, I think there are people who are totally comfortable 100% doing it on their phones. And that's awesome. It's amazing that you can just like run your company on your phone. I think that's so cool. But I like to do kind of like a hybrid setup.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Alex here in Virginia. And I just want to give a heads up to people. I don't know if this was an isolated incidents in my case or not. But I used my coupon to buy products from eBay because I have a store, and it came up that I owed $3.66 over, the coupon. Fine. So that was last week. Well, yesterday I decided I had to go into PayPal to check something, and I saw a charge for $53.66, and I thought, well, who is that? And I went in, and it turns out that eBay charged me on my PayPal account $53.66 for these items. So I've got a call in. I haven't heard back yet. I'm sure they'll fix it. But people might want to check their PayPal account to make sure that they weren't charged the full amount, including the $50 coupon. Okay, the second thing, I have a question. I've sent quite a bit out in terms of glass frames, glass in frames, and I put the X with the tape. And now I have some plexiglass that is on a huge poster, and I want to find out, can I put that on as well, or should I put that on when I ship it? Because it's not glass, it's the plexiglass. So I'd like your response on that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
So as far as eBay charging you for your supplies,
I mean, I've seen some other people mention that too, but then I've seen many other people like us who have had no problems. I don't know if that's a glitch. I don't know if some of you are not doing things in the proper order
with
where
the coupon, like Mike from Atlanta said, oh, I put the coupon in, but then I went to continue shopping and the coupon got deleted out of my cart, and then I paid and the coupon was gone. So like that might have something.
So how are you doing it?
This is what I do. I shop, and I'm like, this is all I want. I'm done shopping. Put the coupon in, press apply. I'm pretty sure there's an apply. You have to press apply, and then make sure the total zeroes out. Or says you owe $3.
So before you check out, it shows you that it's deducted.
Out,
so if you get to the checkout and
it's not
and it's still
out,
full price,
something's wrong.
Something's wrong,
and you should either wait,
right,
or you should call eBay and be like, "Is something going on right now?" Yeah, and it is frustrating because you're like, eBay's a big company, for their own coupons for their own shipping supplies not to work is frustrating, right. And you're like, come on. I also think it's worth it if something was up with the coupon to call and be like, why is this getting taken out of my PayPal account? You should always call if you have a question for eBay. I don't know why that happened. That's weird. The second question was about putting, the tape, X on a piece of glass. And the reason that you do that when you're shipping artwork is so if the glass gets broken for some reason, hopefully it won't because you packed it well enough, you don't want it to damage the artwork underneath. You don't want shards of glass like ripping, pieces of paper underneath.
It also just keeps the glass in place. So even though it gets shattered, the glass doesn't explode
Right.
and become a million different pieces, you know.
Now, as far as plexiglass, I don't think you need the tape, but I have taped up plexiglass, and really, like, to be honest with you, it was so my customer knew that I was taking precautions, even if it's plexiglass, because honestly, a lot of people can't tell the difference between plexiglass and glass. So you may know it's plexiglass, your customer might not know, so I've taped plexiglass just to be like, I'm a professional packer, I pack this right.
I remember growing up in Houston, we get a lot of hurricanes. And
Yes.
the big hurricane that I remember was Hurricane Alicia.
In 1983.
Was it?
You know why I know
Yeah.
that?
How?
Because we had a trucker hat that said Hurricane Alicia in
right.
1983.
And I remember, I knew it was serious when my dad got the tape and was taping up our
windows.
I was like, why is that? He's like, in case they break. I'm like, what?
So they don't shatter
Yeah,
and
I'm
they
like,
stay together.
oh my God, is that going to happen?
What happened? You guys were fine.
It was fun. I mean, I always loved hurricanes because it like closes the city down and there's like a strong storm. And I mean,
You never had any.
I don't want
ruined.
people to get hurt and all that, but it was
Look, I
just-
grew up in Massachusetts. We had hurricanes in the summer in
Did
August.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like you
You
guys.
don't have hurricanes.
We do too.
Hi, Jenny and Ryan. This is Jen from West Virginia. And I just wanted to make a comment about how you were saying that you buy soap at thrift stores and such. Don't just look at the older soaps to think that they might be of value on eBay. We have a scratch and dent kind of store where they get a lot of closeouts near where I live. It's like a grocery store. It's actually much, much cheaper than Sharp Shopper. And a lot of the stuff is discontinued that comes in there. And I know that I sold, I think it was 30 bars of, it was cashmere bouquet, I believe, soap, and I got $150 out of it. And I had best offer on it. They didn't even use it. It just was bought right outright. And, you know, another thing, you know, if something has been discontinued, I used to be, you know, like an extreme coupon kind of person. And, you know, I found out one night that Flex shampoo sells really well on eBay. And I went into my shampoo stockpile and I was able to list like 4 bottles of Flex shampoo, and they sold with, you know, overnight for $40 each. You know, now, this was a few years ago. I don't know what prices are now, but just be aware that things don't have to be old when it comes to like soaps and beauty care to be valuable. So I just want to pass that along. Okay, bye.
Cheaper than Sharp Shopper. Never heard of such a thing.
No, that's cool. Yeah, there's definitely people that do that where you're basically doing kind of retail arbitrage.
Almost like retail arbitrage, yeah.
No, sorry. It is retail arbitrage. You know, you're buying brand new products in the package and you're reselling it. You know, a lot of people do that on Amazon, but I guess, are doing it on eBay.
Yeah.
And that's cool. When we were doing, testing out Amazon, we would do that too. Like, we'd be scanning
Different
and
foods, gourmet foods.
I just found that the profit was just so slim. Like, you really had to sell a lot of it. It sounds like you were doing very well.
And it sounds like you were getting it so cheap that it was a good pipeline.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like, there's a flea market we go to, and there's this younger couple. They're really into selling, like, toothpaste, and
I think they're extreme couponers.
I think they're extreme couponers, and then they sell all their toothpaste and
shampoo,
and they're selling like a tube for $1. I mean, I'm like, so maybe they get it for free, and so they're making
profit.
$1.
I mean, they're making profit.
A tube of toothpaste. That's a tough business model for us. So the kind of soap we've sold where we'll get it for basically free, and we'll sell like 1 bar of this, like, from some fancy hotel for like $30.
Yeah.
That fits into our like $30 profit its model, but. Yeah, if you can find, I've also heard too, people who buy the stuff that's discontinued, like apple flavored Cracker Jacks or something. I don't know, like some weird flavor that was a regional thing, and people go and buy a lot of it, and then the people in another region, they really want that, and they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, there's those things too. There's always things like that. It's a matter of, can you get it cheap enough? Can you sell it for enough, and is it interesting to you?
So if you love doing that,
you should do it.
Sounds like a great thing. apple flavored Crackle Jack.
Is that even a thing?
I just made something up.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, you can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we talked about and to join the conversation on the forums. You can call and leave a question on our voicemail line, and that phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning or Sunday evening, depending on our schedule. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, right now being brought to you by Steven Schultz in his new house. And he shows you what he sold during the week and how much he sold it for. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. You can, again, listen to our other podcast where we talk about our Airbnb rental business and our renovation, seriously taking up all our time and our money, and that's at shampooandbooze.com. You can rent our vacation farmhouse, and you can see the link to that Airbnb on shampooandbooze.com. We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.